distinguished editors, bureau chiefs, and Senate press corps. This is the time for you to ask questions where necessary, but I'd like to plead with all of you with due respect to editors, bureau chiefs, and Senate press corps members to please endeavor
electoral reform. Is there any time frame for this exercise? Not just the reform of the Electoral Act, but the constitutional reform that this exercise may also necessitate. I'm asking this question against the background that since 1999, it has become a seasonal ritual for us to reform or carry out constitutional amendment. The experiences are known. Can't we handle this matter in a manner that we can put an end to the agony of the nation in the conduct of the election? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And some Nigerians within the National Assembly, in fact, among them even our lawmakers, are grumbling over the welfare of their appointees. There are reports that some of them who got employed 4 months, 5 months in, were only paid for 2 months. Does it worry you, as the President of the Senate, that Nigerians for whom you are working, and some of them working right under you, are going through this kind of situation? And then there is also the, we are aware that some lawmakers...
Which appointees, please?
Political appointees to some of the lawmakers. Now, 8. So
8?
Yeah, to lawmakers, yes, sir. Now, there is also the issue of disparity in the payments of these appointees. Why some are having consolidated payment as they describe it, others are just placed on a fixed amount, no allowances whatsoever attached to them. Does this bother you, and what action will you be taking when you confirm this?
Thank you. Well,
the question is about Nigerians. Nigerians are deeply concerned about the poverty level in the country, and most importantly, the high rate of unemployment. What is the Ninth Senate doing to address this pathetic situation we find ourselves? And also, what is the Ninth Senate doing to ensure that the very few slots of employment slots are not hijacked by lawmakers? What are you going to do about the transparency level towards employment in Nigeria? Thank you.
Thank you.
I work for Tel Magazine. Senate President, one thing that worries Nigerians today is the issue of federal character principle, which is enshrined in the Constitution. This government has increasingly observed that principle in the negative. All the appointments this government is making is increasingly one-sided. And the Senate is looking, and they are approving those nominees as they come. Certain sections of the country are totally out of the picture. And then our representatives are still approving it. So my question is, what is your view on the federal character principle? I think the chairman of that committee is represented on a high table. And then in their own appointment as Senate President, have you observed the federal character principle in their appointees? And then to support what my sister here said about employment stocks, the lawmakers, the senators and the House representatives, everywhere you go, they will tell you to go and get a letter from your representatives. So our question is, the common man who has nobody to sign letter for him, when does he get a job in this country?
Thank you. Can we...
The legislative appointees, you have complained that there is disparity in payments. Some have fixed, some have consolidated. It is my understanding that they are not of the same levels. If someone is qualified to be recruited at a consolidated level, I'm sure the documents will show support for the decision of the management to give that kind of appointment on behalf of a member of the National Assembly. And the same thing, if someone is not qualified to have the consolidated grade, it is only fair that such a person is recruited at the appropriate level. And I believe that the management of the National Assembly is doing everything possible to ensure that all those who have been employed to serve with members of the National Assembly, both senators and House of Representatives members, are paid their dues accordingly. Rabi, high rate of unemployment. I just want us to cast our minds back to last week. Last week, the former Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Ike Ekweremadu, sponsored a motion alongside many senators on the high rate of unemployment in the country. And that motion was exhaustively debated. And of course, resolutions were passed. I want to assure you that one of the reasons why we have gone for roundtable discussions in solid minerals and agriculture is to provide the enabling environment for diversification of the economy. Agriculture will definitely provide a lot of employment opportunities and wealth creation. And so will the solid minerals sector. But before then, we believe that government should continue to support the private sector, because it is the private sector that will create more employment opportunities than government agencies. So we'll continue to push, we'll continue to work together with the executive arm of government and indeed the private sector to ensure that the environment is good enough for business, that the environment supports investments, that our citizens, particularly the youth, are able to get some employment opportunities. Let me also respond to the issue of opportunities not being hijacked by members of the National Assembly. That is the employment opportunities in government. Members of the National Assembly don't hijack. We represent people. And when there are opportunities, everybody applies. And in fact, these days, it's online. Normally, they advertise the vacancies online. And of course, everyone is free to apply. So I want to assure you, nobody will hijack any opportunity. My friend from Tel Magazine, I believe in fair character principle, because it is equity, it is fairness, and it is justice. And any society that is deficit in the area of fairness and equity and justice is a society that is doomed to fail. So I believe in that. I'm not sure of what you say regarding the executive correspondences to us regarding people that we should confirm. That is lopsided. If you have any such issue, please don't hesitate to write to the Public Petitions Committee or indeed any committee that is going to consider the nominations of the executive arm of government. And we're going to look into it. But as of today, I have not heard that there is a complaint or a petition on lopsidedness in any of the nominations. You ask me whether I have demonstrated further character principle in my appointments. I think I did. Maybe I should allow those who have been employed to speak for me. Probably I applied the federal character principle in some areas that I almost got into trouble. So I believe that I have done that much very well. In fact, when I was in the last Senate, in fact from the 7th Senate, in my employment in my office, Only one person was from my place. Only my PA. Only. The rest, two from Edo. I think one from Kogi. One from Plateau. None, except my PA, was from my place. And that's because I believe in one Nigeria. I believe in merit. I want people who will help me to discharge my responsibilities. And that is what I try to do in the office of the Senate President. I'm looking for people to help me discharge the obligations and responsibilities of that office. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. The very next set of questions, we already have 3 hands up here before now. We might try to see if we can accommodate one more and make it 4, and that will be the close of it. I'm seeing you, sir. I'm good.
The first one will be a follow-up to what my brother Fred asked about the loan. 28, let me just say November 2016, when a similar request was made, it was rejected immediately because there were no information. I don't know whether Mr. President has given the 9th Senate what he's going to do with the loan. Because we tried to ask the acting spokesperson, Godia Akwashiki, Senator. There was no answer. So I want to know whether we now have the information that will make the 9th Senate approve the loan. Sir, we now have fresh agitations for development agencies. Only last 2 weeks, there was one from North Central, there was one from Northwest, North Central by Senator Sani Musa, Northwest, Barao Jibri, Southeast, Senator Stella Odwa. Then we also have one for Southwest by Senator Ibukola Amusu. Sir, what is your take on this? Will your 9th Senate also give expeditious passage to this bill the way they did to your own Northeast Development Commission? Sir, why is it that over 2,000 former aides of the 8th Senate, legislative aides, have not been paid their severance? And finally, sir, we are also Nigerians. I want to appeal. We are also Nigerians since we are working for Nigerians. You know, your chamber, in the past few weeks, you have been complaining, sweating. It's not working. Things are not working. Sir, as we are going to renovate this 2020, let us also enjoy from the 37 billion that has been budgeted for the renovation of National Assembly. Because as we are renovating the chamber, where we are working, sir, is a cold room. No window, nothing. Consider us. Thank you.
Thank you. Channels.
Mr. Senate President, good afternoon. My name is Terry from Channels TV. Your statement that anything the president brings to the National Assembly will be considered as it will be deemed good because the president understands the minds of Nigerians.
Hello, excuse me, please. Can you introduce yourself again, please?
My name is Terry from Channels TV. I was speaking on your statement that anything the president brings to the National Assembly will be considered good enough. And it's generated quite a lot of reactions from Nigerians questioning whether this 9th Senate or the 9th National Assembly will be able to assert its independence and not just be a rubber stamp, even though repeatedly you have said this 9th National Assembly will not be a rubber stamp. Will you still be sticking to that statement following the reactions you've been getting, or would you like to probably explain further? My second question is, apart from the approach, speedy approach to the passage of the PIB that you mentioned in your speech, will you be looking at amendments that will enhance, attract investment into the country? Thank you.
Yes, please.
Distinguished Senate President, sir, my name is Taye Odewale. I report for the Blueprint newspaper. As a federalist, sir, the most striking aspect of your remark, as far as I'm concerned, is the promise you made that in January, the 9th Senate and by extension, the 9th National Assembly will start constitution amendment. Now, the exercise, will it be a cosmetic one, as it has been from the 6th, 7th Assembly till now, or a substantive one, by looking critically into the exclusive list, where you have 68 items that the federal government alone can act on, particularly items like item 39, which has to do with mining and minerals. In your remark, you said the Senate Committee on Mines had a roundtable dialogue last week, and I was there. Part of the recommendation given was that that sector needs to be decentralized. So we don't know whether when you start the constitutional review, you will have the courage to take that item to concurrent list. The same thing with item 45, which has to do with policy. You are the chairman of the Senate committee, ad hoc committee on security. And part of the recommendation was that that item needs to be looked into. And finally, item 61, which is very, very funny, for the federal government to be saddled with formation, annulment, and dissolution of marriages of all important issues on ground. That is me.
Thank you very much. Guardian newspaper. Your Excellency, perhaps just one more question, sir.
No, well, thank you very much. Let me. Oh, this, I have 3 already.
Okay, sir. All right, sir.
Okay, give him, if that will be the end.
Right, thank you very much, sir. My name is Igor Akerega. I work for the Guardian newspapers. When Mr. President was elected in 2015, he told Nigerians that he was for nobody, but he was for everyone. When you were campaigning for the office of Senate President, I remember I was in a couple of your sessions. You said you were going to lead a Senate that works for Nigeria. So far, sir, it would appear this time not just body language or movement, but practically so, that the most important bills that the Senate has considered is this anti-hate speech bill, social media bill, and bills that do not seem to be in the interest of Nigerians. Now you have said that it is going to come to public hearing. But Nigerians feel that what the Senate should do, if indeed they are concerned about their welfare, is to embark on pro-people policies and bills. I want a clear response. What you think is the biggest problem in Nigeria, and what is Senate under you, the kind of laws you will make to address what you consider as the biggest problem facing Nigeria. That's one. Two, the issue of corruption. Your party, the All Progressives Congress, said it was coming to deal decisively with the issue of corruption. Today in the papers, we have the FIROS boss, that is Babatunde Fala, was removed over about 40 billion naira allegedly that is unaccounted for. Yeah, 40 billion that was said to be unaccounted for. And there are several other cases of monies that were recovered by the executive, properties being seized by the executives, yet we are still going to the Chinese to borrow money. VAT has been increased, all kinds of money coming to the government. Yet, there is no corresponding progression on ground in terms of infrastructure, education, quality education, health. The Senate, people say the judiciary is the last hope of the common man. But elsewhere, like the United States and other countries, indeed, the parliament, the Congress, is the hope of the common man. Under the Ninth Senate, Nigerians are expecting you to live true to your promises that you are going to indeed work for Nigeria. What is your leadership going to do decisively to address the issue of corruption, whether it affects the executive or the parliament? The last one is the rule of law. Now, it is no longer strange that it would appear that Nigeria is becoming a laughingstock, the Committee of Nations, with the reign of impunity and excesses of the current government. And the Congress, which is the parliament, is expected to checkmate the executive. Now you have said this bow and go policy of the last Senate, the previous Senate from 2015 up to now. It doesn't appear as if anything has changed under your leadership. When people come, it is still bar and go. How will Nigeria move forward under these conditions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Excellency, sir.
Well, thank you very much. I will start with questions from Harry Umaru of Vanguard about the loan. It is true that in 2016, the Senate did not accept to pass the loan request of the executive at that time. And the reason was because there were no sufficient details. I want to inform this gathering, and indeed Nigerians, that the letter conveying the loan request of the executive came with every possible detail. And in fact, we would definitely ensure that we don't have only the details, but also some explanations to ensure that we are taking the right decision because of the right information from the executive arm of government. So the situation is not the same. In 2016, there were no sufficient details. This time, I think the executive has learned its lesson, and the letter came with sufficient details. The development agencies, let me thank the previous National Assembly for passing the Northeast Development Commission, and thank Mr. President for assenting to it. The people of the Northeast are in very serious, dire, and stressful situation. And therefore, that agency that has just taken off is going to provide some succor and relief in various ways. Will the Senate pass the Northwest, North Central, Southeast, and Southwest Development Commission bills? Well, it's for the Senate to do that. My job is very simple. I will listen to the debates, but one thing I'm sure of, senators will do justice to every part of Nigeria. The legislative aids not paid. Are you referring to severance or? You recall that I had a meeting, in fact the Speaker and I had a meeting with the management of the National Assembly about 2-3 weeks ago, including the Minister of Finance, National Assembly Service Commission, and that issue was ironed out, and I'm happy to report that before the end of this week, the legislative heirs will start to get their money. Oh. Harry, Honorable, I didn't hear you clap. Because I expected you to clap. Okay, then your last one is renovation of the National Assembly complex. When we came in, we noticed that many parts of the National Assembly complex are dilapidated. And we convened a meeting of the management of the National Assembly, the FCDA. Then it was permanent secretary, the minister was not in place yet. The Speaker and I had a very exhaustive engagements with them. We met Mr. President, the Speaker and I, and told him the situation, the condition of the National Assembly complex. Since the takeover of that complex, there was never ever any major rehabilitation or renovation. 20 years. Mr. President responded by telling us that he was going to renovate the National Assembly complex. And we went back and continued to engage with the management of the National Assembly, FCDA. Eventually, we took what is required for phase 1 renovation, phase 1. And that is where we are sitting, the dorms, both House and Senate, and our committee rooms in the White House, the area we call the White House. That 7 billion naira was sourced and was given, was put under the FCT, not National Assembly. All we require is to have the National Assembly complex renovated, including the reconfiguration of the 2 chambers. And of course, even without saying, including the media office. So we have the opportunity in 20 years to embark on the renovation of the phase 1 building of the National Assembly. When we are through with phase 1, then we go to phase 2. It's not under the control of the National Assembly. The National Assembly complex is a national asset and is for the FCDA to take care of. So that is that for the National Assembly complex. My friend from Channels, that everything from, or anything from the president will be passed. I think I was taken out of context. But let me say this. The Senate is not, has 109. The presiding officer only coordinates the debates. And at the end of the debates, the ayes, when they are majority, they have it. The nays, when they are majority, they get it. The ayes could fail to get it, just like the nays could also fail to get it. So it's not for one person to say when the ayes have it, because you don't like it, then you say, no, the ayes don't have it. We are there. Let me take this opportunity to appeal. Judge us by what we do. Judge us by our actions. We have undertaken so many actions so far. And the press has been in this journey with us. Please judge us on what we do and what we don't. There is no way we can, for example, pass into law something that will be inimical to the people that we represent. No way. We can't do that. But we will do everything possible to ensure that we legislate on what will make life better for Nigerians. And we have shown the sign. So far, we have tried in the Senate to remain united, focused on delivering what is good for Nigerians. So far, I think we have not done anything to show that even if a request is against Nigerians, ought to be passed. But I don't want to even imagine a situation where the National Assembly will be anti-Nigerians, because we are a microcosm of Nigeria. So that settles the issue of rubber stamp. Because judges, when we do rubber stamp, you can say this is rubber stamp. When we do what is rubber stamp. But if we do what is right, please encourage us. And you have been doing that very well. encourage us, because it helps. It helps. Attracting investments to Nigeria, I know that since the last assembly, the ease of doing business in Nigeria has been a very important issue before the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. And Senator Bala Ibn Allah used to represent us. He still does on the committee that is chaired by His Excellency the Vice President on the ease of doing business. And we are doing a lot. We are improving on our level of doing ease of doing business in Nigeria. So we'll continue to support anything and everything that will make doing business in Nigeria pleasurable and attract foreign direct investment. Blueprint, Constitution Amendment, what Nigerians want. There are so many ways to introduce requests for amendments. You can, on your own, submit through any member of the National Assembly a bill seeking for an amendment, or a member of the National Assembly on his own or her own decide to come up, or the executive. And indeed, there's no limit to this. So it's not only the duty of the National Assembly members to come up with bills, but our colleagues, our members have been doing that in both chambers. What we are assuring Nigerians is from next year, early next year, our committee on the review of the Constitution will start its job of ensuring that the process of Constitution amendment kickstart. We have been very busy with the budget and so many other issues that we felt we should clear these ones, and as soon as we come back, the committee on the review of the 1999 Constitution should start its job. And we are going to do everything that will make the governance better. Certainly, what Nigerians want, we know. Nigerians want security. Yeah. Everybody wants to have a secured environment. Nigerians want an economy that works for everyone, an all-inclusive economy. And that means that the economy has to be fine-tuned so that when the government implements its policies, that the private sector gets the benefit that it requires, that citizens get the kind of environment and climate that they need to flourish. Nigerians want a country free of corruption, because no matter how much you have as revenue, if public corruption pervades and permeates society, the resources will disappear. So we want to ensure that corruption is reduced to its barest minimum, or where possible, eliminated completely. The final person is Hugo of Guardian. You said the president said he was for everybody and he was for nobody. That was in 2015. And because I'm not a spokesperson of the presidency, I would not like to comment much on that. My understanding is that the president might have meant to say that he will treat Nigerians equally, regardless of where they come from. Hate speech. This hate speech thing. I answered something at the beginning about hate speech. Hate speech, I think, is one issue that has elicited so much reaction from Nigerians. And personally, I'm happy that everybody is talking. But it's not for members of the National Assembly alone to deal with hate speech bill. Like I said at the beginning, is for every interested person. If you feel the hate speech bill should not pass, when they will conduct the public hearing, get as many people against hate speech bill as possible to attend the public hearing and make their case. I'm sure that it's better for me to stop to talk about hate speech so that I don't also engage in hate speech. You said, and I'm your fan. I watch you whenever you be on AIT in the morning. You say APC said it will deal with corruption. Certainly, yes. Corruption was one of the major planks. Fight against corruption was one of the three major planks or pillars that we campaigned on in 2015 and 2019. And I don't want us to argue over this, but the actions so far of the government on corruption, I think, speak for the position that we have canvassed. Forgive me if I did not go deep enough. I'm just reading this 40 billion naira thing. I don't have enough details to inform any serious comments I can make on that. But I want to assure you that whatever is of public interest is going to be of interest to us in the Senate and indeed in the National Assembly. What are we going to do with the issue of rule of law and impunity? Rule of law, I believe, is something that we all have to adhere, whether we are strong or weak, whether we are in advantage or disadvantaged position. And rule of law, justice, these are essential ingredients of democracy. And therefore, we believe in them. Whoever is found guilty of an offense should face the appropriate sanctions. And if someone is not guilty of an offense, such a person should not suffer any undue consequences. Thank you very much. God bless all of us.
Thank you very much. Would like to, again, please appreciate our distinguished colleagues. Please, can we give all of you a